Barber.
Here.
Donna Butler.
Here.
Neil Manus.
Here.
Jason Rhodes.
Here.
Keith Smith.
Here.
Alderman Michael Phelps is absent.
This time, I'd ask if everyone would stand as Alderman Manus leads us in invocation, and Alderman Rhodes leads us in the pledge.
Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this day. Thank you for your love and mercy. Thank you for taking it in on us in the city. We ask you to lead us and guide us to all the decisions we make tonight, Lord, as we lead on. Lead on front of the Lord, we ask you to bless us in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda is the minutes. Do we have any corrections or amendments to the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I have no questions, or excuse me, no corrections, but I did have a question or two for follow-up. You want me to wait for the end?
Yes, sir. Is it minutes?
Yeah, I just had a question about where we are on some projects that's mentioned.
I think someone will go, which one do you want?
You can go, y'all.
We go ahead if you want to go ahead.
We get it at the end of the meeting in one.
I just get it at the end.
Okay. I think we got 2 or 3 projects we need to go over.
Okay.
On statuses of them.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Have a motion set the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item is the counts. There's no vote on the counts. If you have any questions on the counts, please give us the page number and the line item number.
I don't have any question, but I would like to make a comment. We had a good, clean, no question time.
Well, that's good.
Any other questions on, any questions on the bills? Seeing none, next item on the agenda is delegations. If anybody would like to address the city on any issue on the agenda or any issue dealing with the city, please come forward.
I'm Norma Meisner. I'm the owner of Front Street Farmhouse on Main Street. And I think I mentioned this to someone at the end of last meeting. The crosswalks on Main Street are not being observed, and not only are they not being observed, people are driving way too fast. And with Subway, the Chinese restaurant, City Road, all of those are busier than my place, but that include my place and courthouse business as well. It is not safe. And people are just barreling through one after another. Somewhat, I think the lines are faded. It's not clear, maybe that it's a crosswalk, but is there some sort of sign or something that can be done? And I've noticed that's the same for all of the crosswalks on Main Street, not just mine.
I think we talked to you, didn't we, Carter, at the end of last meeting about seeing if you could touch those up or repaint them. I mean, I know you gotta shut down and repaint, but it's better to shut down. Do they have any graphics that shows like people walking or something, so you know it is a
Well, I've
crosswalk?
seen like some like arrow pointed lines and stuff in other cities, and a sign actually that indicates it's a crosswalk.
I have too. I've seen some in other cities for pedestrians.
Yeah.
Crosswalks, so.
Yeah, look that up, Carter,
It just
because.
really concerns me because it's right in front of my store,
Right.
and it's not as much for me, but for
The city.
The Subway and the Chinese restaurant are extremely busy at all times of the day, as is the city drugstore.
And
a lot of
mobility
times are
could be an
older people.
issue, yeah.
Yes.
So you can't get out of the way.
That's
all.
Chief, Chris said, I think it was 25 miles there.
It's 25-mile-an-hour speed zone there. I mean, I'm extremely short-handed. I had a guy quit, he turned his notice today, and I'm short one, I can't fill that position. And it's hard for us to go down and just run radar on Main Street, let those traffic.
Yeah, I was afraid that was an issue, but it's still something that has to.
Oh, I understand, I understand. Most people that's crossing there, this restaurant's open, are pulling up, getting out of their cars, and they're not using the crosswalk, they're just crossing the street.
You're right.
That's wrong as well.
You're right about that too, yeah.
We still have, I see the wagon out that does that. I think we ran it downtown one time, put only 25-mile-an-hour speed
We
limit.
did.
And I don't know
I don't
whether it's
think
slower
it's even
than
that
that.
now.
It was right in front of the courthouse, right at the edge.
Well,
That was-
just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean you can't do it, right?
Because it will remind you, oops, it's
It's
25.
really, I'm more concerned about the speed of the traffic because it's as much as 40 and 50, especially with some of the young
The only way to
people in
police
trucks.
that efficiently is to put up a camera that issues citations. It's gonna be hard for us to send to run radar with that congestion down there.
Sure.
The cars are so close together, it's virtually impossible.
Did we not put that into the aisle, one of the aisles?
It was at, I do remember, it was at the corner of Case and.
And the courthouse, that's where it was.
Now, that was before.
It's on the county side.
That was before we did that bump out, so I don't know exactly how we get in there.
Okay.
But I was just thinking that might be a quick way to get their attention while we look into some of the other stuff.
Yeah, because I think people forget about it, but they're going way too fast.
Well, 25 miles an hour through there is a pretty good clip. How about somebody putting a proposal together to reduce it to 20?
They're going a lot more than
Well,
25. If they were going 25, it wouldn't be that bad.
It's still a pretty good clip to go through the middle there.
I don't know that they're going as fast as she thinks, because sometimes standing on the street running radar, our officers have to be trained to sit in a car and look at a car coming at them and say, that car's running X amount of speed, it has to hit within 5 miles an hour of radar. And so they're kind of good at judging cars. The color of cars changes the speed for you. A red car looks like it's running faster than a blue car. It plays with your mind. So downtown, when you're that close, you can stand close to the white line, the fog line of the road, the car looks faster than what's actually going.
When they've accelerated and you can hear their mufflers blaring, that's pretty good information.
I'm not gonna argue with you, I'm just telling you, it's impossible for me to run radar on Main Street from the courthouse to the bridge.
And that's not what I asked for. I thought there might be some sort of signage or some sort of reminder of the speed limit, because I really thought it was 30. I didn't even know it was 25.
It's
Another
25.
question. First question. Help me out, Jim, that's a state highway, can we change the speed, or we are
We
limited?
have to ask them permission.
The state of Tennessee has to give you permission to do that, because that was been the battle we got. This road over here 50, and this one over here 55. Remember, that was one of those issues.
And I know that's always controversial. People hate things like that. But if you notice, a lot of the older people parking at City Drug don't even get completely in the parking space, and they're opening their doors out into that area. It's just really not safe.
Like all your guys were about making bump outs when painting these prices last week, I saw them out. You did several in the neighborhood.
But if we could get it right there on that main where they're supposed to cross, like you say.
I think the state, under that contract, well, the state's painted on
Well, it's part of the repaving.
it. Repaving contract, they got painted under the sidewalk project, didn't it? That was the argument. We questioned why they painted that just straight white. And that was one of those issues they,
We may want to consider going to I forget what they call it, or there's
That safety yellow.
well, no, you gotta get white for crosswalks.
Oh,
But they actually have I forget what they call it, it's like a heavy plastic you lay down and heat it. And they're wider and a little more visible. We might look at the cost.
I know what
of
you're
that.
saying. I know what you're talking about.
Well, I think a lot of people just don't know what a crosswalk means, that they're supposed to stop. pedestrians.
Yeah. You're probably right, they may not.
Okay, anyone else would like to address the city?
I got a question for council and aldermen. County seems to be having a general kind of a thing working with the public that they're questioning about raising property tax, if that's the only one. My question is, what's City of Henderson going to do about raising taxes? Obviously, people need raises.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need more money
Yeah.
for projects and the
Yeah.
like.
I'll take a shot at it. Ours, the city government is just a little bit different on our revenue stream. Our revenue stream is local sales tax, state share sales tax. That's a big stream to us that we have. Our property tax on it is 90 cents. 90 cents, and it brings in, I think probably about a penny. When I first got here, less than 7, but I think it's what, 10,000 a penny, something like that, pretty close to it. Or
About 11,000 per penny.
per penny is what it brings in, is about 11. So for us, if we had to do, and that's one thing we always talked about hesitating with property tax, if you had to come up $250,000, $300,000, you're raising property tax 15, 20 cents. And we just can't, we're not gonna, we just never have. Matter of fact, the last property tax increase we had was in 2009, and then we took it back and lowered it back. So it was $1 a nickel to this reappraisal, which we used to certified rate, which was 90 cents. So cities property tax doesn't bring you in that much money unless you go big.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to go big.
What
We're not
about
either. We
reassessment?
never have. And the deal is the growth, our growth has been the share tax and the local sales tax. Because I remember, I don't mind saying it, when I first came here, my first year or two, we were getting what, 750, 800,000? This year our local sales tax is around about 1.7 million. And also you got to take consideration too, we brought in a lot more than that, but half of that, every dollar we bring in the school system gets $1. So we got 1.7 million in local sales tax, and the city and school got 1.7 million.
So the city didn't get more when property was reassessed?
We paid a bunch more, but some business didn't have to, and some farmland, but if you owned a home, you paid. Mine went
I
up,
know it.
mine went up probably
Mine
$400
went
or
up
$500.
50%.
But if you look at what we brought in, you know, which we were talking about, what we brought in, we looked at, you know, you're supposed to be, because we took the assessed value, the certified rate. So the certified rate gives you the same amount of money, didn't tax you should get the same amount of money opposed to it, what you got the year before. Well, we usually do 3 or 4% is what we estimate to the good, doing a little bit more than we do our budget, we do revenues real conservative. This year we were probably about 9%. We were about 4 or 5% better. So but every one of us have to pay more on your home. Businesses got to break on some farmland, I think got to break.
Well, I have a home as well as a business. I was more concerned about home property.
Home property went on everybody.
Yeah,
Mine went up, cities went up about,
We didn't do it.
But the city,
Oh, I
because,
understand it, but the city still got that. didn't
well,
it?
no, because under state law, if you do a reappraisal, like
Right.
they did, like county did countywide, the county has to come up, the county tax assessor and the state come up with what they call a certified tax rate,
Right.
which means in total, the city and the county only collects what they did the year before in total dollars. So no matter what the appraisals did, the city and county still got the same amount of money for property taxes in total. Now, that doesn't mean
What
your
about the
property.
following year?
Huh?
What about the following year?
Well, because reappraisals don't change again, if you keep your tax rate the same, then it will still, it should be close to the
So where
same.
did my money go?
Huh?
Where did my money go?
Well, what I said is in total. Now, some people did pay more in taxes. Mayors
did.
went
I
up
did.
drastically, yours probably did too.
I
The
did.
residential property went up, so we may have got a benefit from that, but a lot of the commercial properties got assessed at a lower value, so the city's overall
So it
revenue.
balanced out.
It balanced out.
see, our tax rate went from, our tax rate for $1 and a nickel is $1 and a nickel, and under the assessed, when the certified rate dropped to 90 cents. So our tax rate now is 9. See, the counties dropped 30 or 40 cents, didn't it? Everybody still paid, I paid $400 or $500 more in county property tax. about 200 in one city, 200 or 300 in one city.
Yeah, pretty much the residential property, especially around Henderson area, due to the appraised value and what houses were selling for, everybody ended up, their appraisal went up and their taxes went up for what they
That's not the
individually
same
got.
appraisal I got for a loan though.
Hmm?
It wasn't the same
Yeah.
appraisal I got for a loan though.
Then you got to cover it by insurance for replacement.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, anybody have anything else? Okay, next item on the agenda is considered request by Jerry Bullman, agent for the Thomas family for reconsideration of the rezoning from R2 residential to B4 highway business for parcel land located on the west side of Newsome Ave, just north of West Main Street. If y'all remember last meeting, the planning commission gave a favorable rating. This board chose not to do that, and they denied the request. They, as of now, they're asking for an appeal. The council really has two options tonight. You've got two options. One is you can give them the appeal, accept the appeal, and make a motion, vote on it, and give them the appeal. But what that will do is, then next month we got to come back because we're changing it, have a public hearing, then can vote and have a second vote. So we have to have two votes. We have to have two readings no matter what we do. That's that one option. And the other option, if the board chooses not to grant appeal, they don't really have to do anything. They just don't make a motion, don't do anything. That's kind of just where we're at tonight. We can't, in other words, we can't settle it. We can't, if the board chooses to give them the grant their appeal, we still got to come back next week next month with a public hearing and a vote on it again. So at this time, I turn it over to Doc.
So, my concern is, what's your concern on turning that? I mean, Keith and I have had extensive conversations about this, and I understand it's got something to do with the residential area down there, the traffic. My thought process is that there's a lot of things that can be done. You can do a right turn only coming out of that street. You can do a one-way street. I just don't know why we wouldn't want to do that. Part of it's already commercial, and why we wouldn't want to go ahead and do the other section.
The west main side is commercial, but not the side you're talking about, it's still
Well,
residential.
the corner lot there is already zoned commercial.
Yes,
And this
but
lot
it's
is right
facing-
behind it.
Yeah, I went and looked at it.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got Domino's and different
Domino's.
things that's right there, commercial. And Keith was telling me that your concern was all the traffic going
Traffic.
down. We don't even know what's going there.
Well, that
we're
was
trying
gonna be one of
sell
my
it.
questions, what's your plan?
I mean, we've got it for sale, and we don't know who might be interested, but at that time, they will do their due diligence, and they'll probably come before you and say, this is what we want to do, can we get it done?
You're just wanting to set
I don't want to say, we just want to change it to commercial so we can
Get
advertise
better
it as commercial.
price, yeah, I saw you have your signage for the little
Right.
two small spaces.
Yeah, it's, I think the front half of it may be 0.6 acres, and the back part is 0.89, so it's 1.3 acres somewhere. So,
Make a nice house place.
nice retail too, be good for Henderson.
Part of why I was on the planning commission, I think I was the one negative vote from the planning commission before it came to the board. I looked at, we have a regional planner that works with the planning commission, Shelton Merrill from Southwest Development District. He gave it a negative recommendation for the fact that on our future land use plan map for the city of Henderson, it was going to be left residential. And two, that is based on his terminology, it's a minor residential street. And those were the two reasons he gave it a negative recommendation, and that was where I was coming from. Something else that I've noticed down there, it is residential past that lot.
Right.
Of course, you've got commercial, the Save a Lot, was Save a Lot, but it's Family Dollar now.
Right.
But anyway, it's just the back of it, it slopes down, so I doubt there'll be something facing Newsome on that side, unless you do a lot of work.
Right.
But A lot of people park on Newsome because some of the lots, the driveways and stuff only allow perhaps one car in. And so, not too many places now have just one car with a family. So
Well-
there's parking on the street, and that would be an issue. So that was my reasoning, and
Well, I mean,
it was the board.
there's ways around that, though, I think. I mean, if you did a one-way street, you know, where residents could come out. And I realize the other concern is going left on that Main Street. Main Street, I understand, is getting an overhaul.
That would be, but there is a turn lane that comes down there, I think it.
Main, she says, it's got the turn, I don't know if it's gonna be widened anymore there, but it is part of the, I forgot what that plan was called, Haslam Pass. It's, it got put on the list, and it's several years down the road, but it's supposed to be sidewalks, moving the poles back, sidewalks and turning lane from one end to the other. I'll give you my reasoning on the planning commission, why I voted the way I voted on the planning commission was, that's a commercial lot, it's never gonna be anything built there, and you're joining the lot to the back of it, that is now gonna be commercial too.
Right.
And I just thought that, that's the only shot that place will ever have to get their business in. And that was the reason I looked at it, and it was, we debated about it and everything else, and that was I realized what their deal was.
All right,
So that was my opinion when I voted in the planning commission.
If it's commercial, won't the building, planning commission, won't they, it go before them, before something's built here?
No,
It
it
will?
goes from, well, it depends what, help me out.
What if it's a liquor
Put
store?
there.
Okay.
If it's a use permitted, then we would look at their site plan, and if we agree that that meets all the requirements,
The side plan.
we could approve that.
Okay.
If it's a use permitted on appeal or some type of a site plan that we don't agree that would be good for the city, then we can request it to go to the plan commission where they can review it.
Okay.
It's not automatic.
Right. I just felt like there was, I understand the residential and you guys trying to protect them, but I think there was other ways to handle, the traffic down there besides just say totally no, we're not gonna do it.
I did speak with 2 residents. I've been there twice this week, and I caught 2 at home. There's a lot of residents, and of course, they've got 6 new builds there. Some are already sold, and so they're really excited about their residential neighborhood improving with new homes and that. And I just shared with them, what do you think? I mean, I don't know. And they're like, oh, please don't do that.
I'll approve it. Okay. Well, do you think that y'all would review it, have a public hearing, and let's see if we can get it approved?
The board, it's clear to the board.
Well, I remember when it came, the last time it came out, I voted for a change it to before the last time. And, of course, I wouldn't change my vote, I still leave it like it is.
Okay.
But, I wonder, why did the one right on the corner get changed and right there by itself, why is it B4 and not the other?
Yeah, when did that happen? Do you know, Brian?
You got one lot there that you can't do nothing with.
I would have to go back, I want to say it's been that way possibly since
Is that one of those a bit?
80s, 70s, yes, it was when they built Domino's.
That was all, every bit of that was on commercial, all the way down West Main.
The entire
That
front.
faced West Main?
Everything that was on West Main, my right, Jim, was done commercial. And then because we had a lot of people still live on West Main, some people.
Yeah.
But what we did is if you change that residence to a business, we've had a couple of them change it to a business, and then they try to come back and want to rent it, we won't let them do that.
Can't go back.
You can't go back after you go to the business, and you got a business that you can't go back and forth.
Well, 0.6 acres is enough to put something on. I put fast food restaurants on 0.6 acres before. But all we're asking is give us a little more land so we can do more with it,
It's up to the board it's up to the board.
That'd be fine. We'll be glad to talk to you. But, and I think what sealed the deal even more, I mean, the traffic and what the regional planner said, I mean, it's pretty black and white. And if y'all want to read it, you can read it. It's about 2 paragraphs that he wrote as absolutely not. And he knows more about planning than I know. And then when I talk to the neighbors, and they don't want it, it's like, okay, that solidified my thoughts.
So do we still go with the majority vote?
Yes.
Yes.
If this board decided to make a motion, and we got a second, we would vote on your appeal.
Okay.
And if it carried, we would then go next month to the public hearing and then vote on it again, because you could have 2 readings. If nobody tonight makes a motion and nobody seconds it, we're done. So that's where we're at right now.
All right.
So,
I'll make a motion, we accept.
I have a motion accepted on appeal. Do I have that second? I do not have a second. It dies for lack of second. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
thank you.
Guys, have a good night.
Yeah. Okay, next item on the agenda is consider approval of the Tennessee highway safety for the fire department to purchase it, Extrication Tool. G.
I applied for a THSO grant for the Tennessee Highway Safety Office for $12,485. We were awarded that, so I'm just asking for the board's permission to accept that grant.
What's the max? What'd you say is my?
There's not really a match, but this is the max amount we can get, and the tool, I think, what, do you remember what it was?
It's in your packet, $13,716. And I think you can cover.
It's on the back of that page there.
Yeah.
So I think you said you can cover the difference out of your own budget.
Out of your operation. Yeah. I make a motion that we give the chief the authority to move ahead with and make this purchase using this grant in his operation.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, signify by no. Motion carries. Okay, next item is discuss the emergency siren activation system for traffic signal at US Highway 45 in West Main. Jim, I'll let you go over that one because we got some focus today.
Okay. Last month, we talked about the siren activated red light at 45 in West Main. You know, we had the wreck there with the truck, et cetera, and we talked about it last month. I've talked to the engineer again, pretty much the same information we talked about last time. The materials and the equipment is about $10,000. Installation is between $10,000 and $15,000. So the total project cost could be upward of $25,000. 6 to 8 weeks probably to get installed is an estimate, not a long lead time. Now, related to that, this equipment was going to be included in the multimodal grant project. This morning, the mayor got an email that said we can go to bid on multimodal after 4 years.
After all this time.
The bid notice has already been sent back to TDOT for approval. The bid date, I think, is October the 12th at 10 o'clock, which is our next board meeting. So we will have that project bid. But that project will take a little longer to get this equipment put in that intersection box. And so I can't promise the exact date, but that's going to be under the contract with all the rest of the
We'll have
equipment.
grant funds that will pay for it.
Yeah.
Yes,
it
but
won't
that
come out of
grant
our-
budget was approved 4 years ago. So we're not sure exactly where that project's going to come in as far as the,
I mean, $1 4 years ago is not the same as $1 today.
no, I'm afraid not.
Man.
Now, Uncle
So I have no
John said-
idea where the bids will come in, so,
I think I asked the question at the last meeting, if we pull this emergency siren activation out and pay for it ourselves, would the total grant, we would just have the extra money to cover the overage we're gonna spend anyway.
yes,
25,000, so.
yeah.
So we could do it outside of the multimodal and still
Mhm.
have the money. We don't reduce the money we get.
No.
We spend it for the.
If we spend this separate, we would not reduce the amount of the grant. And so it would
You
be,
would get it
if we
And
have
we could get it
we assume we're gonna
packaged.
have an overage of the grant funds. In other words, the local funds we're gonna have to pay, so this would reduce that amount by that amount.
Okay.
So, you know, 6-1, half dozen another, it's just doing the project in 2 steps instead of 1, that's up to y'all. One thing we did discuss with the engineer that's dealt with these, he says they really don't design these for patrol cars. Patrol cars get to the intersection so much faster and through the intersections that the timing to turn all the lights safely, most times patrol cars are already through the intersection before the
Okay, I
lights
got a
have
question.
changed.
I think Alderman Smith asked me to be brought in on this discussion, and this is the first I'm hearing of it. But on police cars, we pull up to an intersection and stop.
Mhm.
So if we're sitting there with our siren running through a cycle, will it
Yeah.
work?
Yes, it will. Your sirens will activate. It's not that they won't. It just depends how fast your car's moving through that intersection. Will it have time to change the lights? Now, I think we
We're not
did.
gonna blow through a light like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull up and stop.
Mhm.
And the siren, so it would work for us.
Does an ambulance stops too, don't they?
Well, most of the time, yes. Mhm.
Most. I've seen them,
A lot of them.
East.
I've seen them not stop.
Yeah. Now, Doug, I think you had a contact, I think, that we gave you to reach out and maybe see. These things aren't used by a whole lot of cities. I'll be honest with you. And I think we had 3 cities, and I think even Knoxville, I think, said they used it those. And I think you had a name maybe to reach out to the fire department up there, but I don't.
Our schedules wouldn't, I tried and just, our schedules wouldn't ever line up to get in contact with them. And also, you know, there was a contact at Gallatin that, you know, the guy left, and
Yeah.
never get the
Mhm.
information.
Yeah, so we're having a little trouble getting to somebody that uses this equipment. Now, this is pretty much the sole provider of this type of equipment for these traffic signals. It's not like you got a bunch of vendors out there that provide this equipment.
Have we talked to other cities or municipalities that use them?
Well, as I said, that's what we tried to do, but we haven't, there's so few of them that uses them. We haven't been able to make contact with these guys. So we can't really confirm, you know, yeah, it works great, or no, it's so-so. I can't tell you for certain.
But we would need to, I think you mentioned it at the last meeting, you know, we want to be sure that if we put something in on our own, that we don't have to redo it.
The engineer, the traffic engineer, Barry Alexander, y'all know him, he's done work for us for years. He's actually the traffic engineer for TLM on this project as a sub. And I talked to him directly, and he said, no, it's the same equipment, whether it's done through the multimodal or this, and one doesn't really affect the other. It's an add-on to the existing traffic cabinet and equipment we have in there now.
Do
Either
you
way.
have any kind of just general, but specific enough to know how it does it? I mean, the reason that I ask, is this something that is wireless, that just happens?
There's
Or do we
actually,
have to tear something up?
there's actually receivers on the poles that actually are pointed each direction that hears, for lack of a better word, hears the siren and changes the light.
Okay,
Mhm.
so we don't have to run something like they do for a lot of red lights, you know, they used to have to put,
Couple loops and stuff.
underground. And
I think everything, it should be above ground except maybe for one pole down and across to the box. Maybe the only thing is underground.
So in the event we had to tear up the street for some reason, we wouldn't be tearing up our equipment?
No.
Okay,
He had like everything was pole mounted.
okay. Well, that'll help.
And Carter, correct me if I'm wrong, all the wires for the actual traffic lights run overhead down the main pole and over to the traffic control.
Good.
So,
So no controls on the street, that's good.
to my knowledge.
Reached out to the fire chiefs. Could get over there.
There's not many in West Tennessee that, I don't know of any, but I don't even know if Jackson even runs them. You know, if I was to speculate anybody running would be Jackson, I don't think they do.
Memphis, Nashville?
Memphis probably does, Nashville maybe, but they're so big, I don't have, I'm not in the same circle, so I don't have somebody to reach out to. I can try, but there's no guarantee. Memphis is so large, Nashville's so large. I could probably reach out to somebody like Clarksville or something like that. I've got some connections in some of the smaller suburbs of Nashville, places like that. Like I said, I voiced my concern last time because of it's audio activated instead of light activated, so, and now they're saying the police cars might not work, so I think we need something, I just don't know what's the best bang for a buck here, so.
So is the fire truck not audio activated at that So it would pick up further.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to have your siren set on a certain tone for it to recognize.
It's similar to what we do at Free-Hardeman to open the gates. And if the board remembers, sometimes that don't work.
Turn the gate on. I think it'd be beneficial to reach out, you can get over to a fire chief, reach out to the police chief, or somebody with ambulance service. You get somebody that you can talk to in Gallatin or Knoxville or wherever else that you know that it is, and ask, does this work? Is this beneficial?
Yeah.
All right.
Agree.
There's no doubt in my mind it's beneficial. You just don't hear about it in West Tennessee, you know, but 45 is a beast of its own, so we're sort of unique on the traffic there. You know, when you get to Jackson, you're more congested, so the cars aren't going as fast, and, you know, there's just, I just don't know, it's just the way it's engineered there.
But you just wonder, there's got to be some
Right.
hiccups to it.
Right.
Since it's not so broad. They had to,
Tennessee healthcare might be somebody to touch base with, because we were talking about ambulances.
None of the communities they operate in have it.
Well, don't they run from, well, I guess what I'm asking is, like, if somebody's running from Selma to Jackson. Yeah, we've talked about ambulances coming from other places
Yeah.
through that intersection. That's what I was wanting to be sure that they can tell us whether the sirens of those will trigger. I guess they will.
All standard sirens have the, whatever, Doug, you know more about sirens than I do, they actually have the tone. All standard sirens now have that tone, that you can just turn it on that tone and it should pick them up no matter what.
The communities in Tennessee that I know have them, I don't know any of them that use the siren activated. That's what I'm trying to explain. The ones that I know of are gonna be light activated. I don't know anybody that has a siren activated.
no tone extra. Well, before we spend any money, Jason, we need to know more about
Remind me, what was our question last time regarding light activated versus tone? Oh, okay.
Every vehicle, you have to put it in, every vehicle is about $5,000 a pop in every.
I got that conversation.
And with that being said, the technology is advanced now where everybody's using either radio frequency or GPS, and that costs even more. So the technology is far behind it. I think the siren was sort of the beginning. It went to light, now we're talking about something else.
Well, the only issue is, it's either got to be in that bid document that's going out or not. Now, it can be something that we can do a change order after we issue the contract, pull it back out if we want to, if we decide it's not for us. But because that bid document's fixing to go out the door with this in it. So, I'm not pushing you one way or another. I'd say go ahead and let you sleep in the project, and then we'll see about what it actually costs in the project, and then we can do the research and with other cities and see what we can find some references. And if we decide to pull it back out of the project, we'll pull it back out then.
That was gonna be my question with multimodal is, you know, so many of these grants now, whatever you put in there is what you're held to.
This was an add-on, it's not required by the multi-modal,
Okay.
so this should not be a
Okay.
Is that what you want us to do?
I'd say leave it in there and then we'll
Leave it in.
see what happens. But in the meantime, if we hadn't done our homework, and found out some information, some solid information, then we use that money for something we know for.
So it's already in.
Well, to be honest with you guys, this is the only thing to be that much. We can't go to the other one. I guess we could bid the other one, but if you want to bid the other one,
No.
you're gonna raise the price, and we're talking about raising the price.
Well, that'd be the whole
About
problem.
10,
No.
almost about 7 or 8 fold.
No.
You're talking about.
Well, they may know some, we may learn of something else.
Well,
If we
I have
study it
reservations about it, period, because if it was that great a system,
Everybody
Let
had,
everybody move away.
that's what concerns me more than anything. So, yeah, I've always had questions about the reliability and the ongoing cost and
Yeah.
issues revolving around it. You know, first thing you don't want to do is for your emergency personnel to get used to relying.
Is there always bills associated with it?
Yeah,
and
there's a-
and
yeah,
especially
it
if
does.
that's the only light that does it, not every light does it. You know, it could cause more problems than good.
Anyway,
Right.
so we'll leave it in the multimodal right now and go from there.
You'll understand what you want to do.
Yeah.
All right. Next item on the agenda is item G. Consider approval of resolution approving the application for the site development grant, SDG, to finish a greater industrial site on the end waterway. Jim?
In your, I laid at your desk when I got here tonight. And these are numbers fresh off the press. In fact, you'll see a pencil amendment on page 2. The first page is the resolution approving the application for site development grant. We finished up one and got the site at the end of Porterway partially graded. It's not finished. I went back to the engineers and I said, hey, okay, what's it gonna take to finish this project? Thinking that 500,000, 600,000 might finish it. No. The new estimate is a total project cost of $825,000. Local match would be 10% of that. There is a possibility it might get lowered to 5%. But we can't be guaranteed that right now. But let's just, for argument's sake, 10% match, making 82.5 being the local amount. The grant amount would be $742,500. If you look at page 2, that's a breakdown of the budget. I made a change to the bottom number because the grant administration can only be 4% of the project, not 5%, which is what it was figured on. So we quickly made that change. You see the total there, 822, we just rounded up to the 825 total project cost. This will get the entire site. If you turn to page 3, if you can read that little writing there, it has, when we get done, they can squeeze, let me rephrase, squeeze 100,000 square foot building on that tract of land. Still have room for parking, truck entrance. You see there'll be a new entrance off the cul-de-sac there at the end. The finished floor elevation is 431 feet. The cul-de-sac, center of the cul-de-sac is 426. So this will be approximately 5 feet above the cul-de-sac level. So that is the amount of dirt they will actually take off the top of that, spread it all out, and get the biggest site we can.
Well, I want to ask this, do we know, you just take, say we got a spin off from forward. Can they, is that foundation, do we know, is it gonna be solid enough that big presses,
So,
like 300 ton
what's going to be
presses?
in the center of that is going to meet the compaction level. It's being tested as they lay it in. It should be no problem at all.
Okay.
Now, when you get those huge presses, sometimes they gotta have above what is standard for most industrial sites.
Put a color in it.
Yeah, so I can't guarantee that, but the top of that hill right there is virgin dirt. It's never been moved. So it's probably gonna be as solid as anything out there, including where Henderson standing, because they're big presses.
And we've got plenty of PSI, water pressure, and all that to accommodate. But that big building with that much use.
Now, the site itself is a little tighter than what we're seeing a lot of requests for proposals from industries now. A lot of times they're asking for 40, 50, 60, 100 acres. Not that they're using that much, but a lot of these plants are getting where they want to make sure they got enough if they, no matter how much they expand.
Yeah.
We may not get 100,000 square foot building. It may come in, somebody wants 50,000. And that's going to be a decision that we'll have to make upon the request and look at what they're doing, decide whether that's a suitable track for them that would be then advantageous for us to do.
Yeah.
And that's based on a lot of things. That can be what type of plant it is, what their salaries are, what the number of employment is,
Employees,
what their waste stream is. Can make a huge difference for both solid and wastewater. It's huge. So, that's one of the issues we have here is when dealing with a lot of the industries is the wastewater limitations we have.
Yeah.
Because we are a lagoon system, not a package type system, so that does make a difference. But, the deadline for this application is October the 13th, and that's the day after we meet again, and I sort of hated to wait till the next meeting to drop this on you, because we're going to have stuff working to get this application in, so I wanted to throw it to you. Of course, that money's not budgeted, the local money's not budgeted, we are talking hitting fund balance again. We hit fund balance already a couple times already this year, one real big on fire truck.
I know that.
And we did call Perkins for 40.
Yeah.
But if we are going to further develop that site, this is cheaper, you're going to get it done. And this gets the site pretty much ready to go and gets a new driveway with head walls, culverts, coming off the cul-de-sac. And it's laid out where some plants would walk in and just pretty much start building. But it's up to y'all. We did send in the letter of intent that we were applying. That don't mean we still don't have to apply. So it's your call. And there's no guarantee we'll get funded, even if we do apply.
I think when we did the first phase, we knew we were gonna have to do this one.
Yeah, we all knew when we did the first phase, it wasn't gonna get us halfway there.
It sure did go up, didn't
Mhm.
it?
Yeah.
Dirt cost a lot.
Moving dirt.
Moving dirt costs more.
The engineer told me he did budget a little high to be on the safe side. But, you know,
The contingency was about 60-something.
60,000 contingency, what he put in here in the head.
The one thing I'm looking at is if it was a $500,000, we'd be out 50.
Mhm.
Now we're out 32, we're only really out about 35,000, 30-something, 32.5
More.
More than what we were.
So,
But again, what is this? September, and we done been dipping in that? I know, but it makes me nervous.
So the fund balance this year, when fund balance undesignated was big. You remember how we carved out our, we usually about 300,000 or 400,000, we're about $1 million, and we did that on purpose. It ain't gonna be that next year though.
No,
It ain't gonna be that next year, we're back down to Keith's magic number next year. The rest of this money is back to recreation
but I
fund.
think we need to do it, decide the funds.
It's the only time we've had it.
Yeah.
We got it.
Cheaper.
And then plus this 5%. What is the deal on 5%, Jim? If what was the deal if our site had been,
Well, Melissa, I talked to Melissa today, and she said if Austin Engineering has done a site visit, then you can have your local match, so if you go to 5. I said, he's been there, because I went with him. You know, when we did the PEL program, I told her that the wording though in the site development says it's gotta be a select Tennessee site inspection. We did the PEL inspection, went through the PEL program, so we're not sure if that Austin visit and his consultation about it will work for the extra 5% reduction. So that's the reason we're giving you 10% to be on the safe side. We're still gonna send that up the flagpole with Kirby at the state to see if it will qualify for the 5%. But I wanna make sure it's clear, we're not positive about that. But they say it's gotta be a site visit by Austin consultant, but they did say for a Tennessee select site. So I don't know if that was a tell.
Well, they're the same, that's the same thing. They
It's the
call
same
it
thing, the same people, the same guy that come inspect it, so I'm hoping it will still count. Even though it's been, how many years since it went through PEL? 5
About
years?
3 or 4.
It's been probably closer to 5
Really?
since it went through PEL.
Yeah, gosh.
So that's the reason the resolution is prepared with 10% now.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize that resolution that authorizes the submittal of the application for the site development grant program.
have a motion, do I have a second? Have a second, any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by, roll call vote, resolution, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
All vote in favor, one absent.
Okay, resolution passes. All right, next item on the agenda is item 8, to request by Church County government to approve proposed long-term lease agreement for the tech center to the state of Tennessee. Jim, help me out if I mess, we gotta leave stuff
What's
out.
that mean?
Well,
All right, let me tell you what it is.
you want me to tell you how I got started?
Yeah.
Friday before last, Barry Hutchinson walked in my office and says, well, the county's gonna be leasing the tech center to the state. We're working on the deal right now with the city county attorney, and we just wanna keep y'all in the loop, is basically what he said. And I said, well, Barry, I said, the city's name's on that deed too. We're gonna have to be a party to the lease. So that's where this got
That's how it
started.
got started.
It was
And I'll let
But
you take it.
here's how it happened. About 15 years ago, when I first came in, when I came in, this was our deal. This was the first thing, Troy came, and the city appropriated $500,000 to build the building. The county appropriated $500,000, and then Steve McDaniels for the state picked up another $300,000 or $400,000, and the tech center got built. The purpose of what the tech center, what the purpose was, is we figured, all of us at the state, we're turning it over to state, the state's gonna run it. They kind of told us, you build the tech center, we'll run the state, we'll run it. It didn't happen that way. And what happened, came in was, they said that y'all, you know, the county would run the tech center. The city said, we gave 500,000, that's it, we're out. We gave the 500, that's all we're doing, because, you know, we're all county residents, so that'll take care of that. And so, from day one, the county has kind of run that. They've done the cleaning on it, did mowing on it, utilities and everything else on it, okay? Well, how we got on the deed, how we figured we got on the deed was we owned the property. And that's how that got us on the deed. We did a swap anyway, if y'all remember where the National Guard is, county and city owned that. County city gave that to the National Guard, turned that over to the National Guard. And then the front land was still owned by the city and the county. It even got to the point we swapped land for that. So that's where it makes it, to me, it makes it more the counties. And so we're looking at this thing, and when we start seeing the agreements and everything else, this county, the city has never had any intention to own it. Matter of fact, we told the county, if they, years down the road, if they sell it, it's theirs. They just do what they need to do with it. So my suggestion, we talked to Jerry, we've talked about here, the best thing for us to do is just quit claim deed this to the county. It's the county's. Because and what I don't want to happen, and it's not fair to the county, let's say 20 years from now, we're all gone, and the county still owns the building, they decide to get rid of the building, and some city council goes, hey, wait a minute, we're on that deed, you gotta pay us half of that, we're on that deed. That was never the intention from the get-go. The city gave $500,000 to build that for the tech center to the county. So my suggestion would be to quit claiming that over to the county with course, utility easements. You know, us still having our utility easements. Because I think that big sewer line runs down there by the railroad track down there. So, is anything, Jim?
Well, Jerry Sport just handed me the quitclaim deed that the city did to the county for half the property. If I'm reading this right.
Yeah.
One half interest in the property back in August 2008 is when that happened. Or city owned it for that, so we quitclaimed them half of it. The county quitclaimed us their half of the property out by the National Guard Armory as part of the swap. And, you know, and the lease with the state that's being proposed, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, is a 30-year lease. Pretty much the state will control the facility, take care of pretty much everything, with the exception of the heating and the air units, which the county and/or city would be replacement, with the state paying half the cost. And also, I assume the county would still have to maintain insurance. It talks about if the property's damaged, you know, there's issues. Now, there's a lot of escape outlets with this lease agreement. If I did read it right, pretty much either party can get out fairly quickly of the lease, you know, anytime they wanted to. Don't see a reason. I can understand why the county wants to do that. And I agree totally with letting the state take this over. So I have no problem with that. And the easiest way, I think, for the state and the county to work together is to get the city out of it. So I thought about what Bobby recommended, and I agree that maybe it's easier for the city just to get out of it, let the county handle the lease and anything that goes on out there for the future, and go from there. Jerry, you want to put in anything?
Not really, other than I couldn't determine who actually picked up janitorial services. It's under the category where the lessor, which would.
County doesn't have it, I don't know who's gonna do it on this other.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, it's
That's-
not checked on that.
It's
Under
question.
section 15, it's not
What
checked,
that's
so
gonna take.
Yeah,
they'll assume that would mean the state
Clarify.
would take
Yeah,
care
they
of
didn't
it.
clarify it. But I just thought we sit there today and said it's a whole lot easier for the county to deal with this just with the state, because that's out. Because we never intended to have anything to do with it anyway.
It was just the land.
It's a $1 a year lease.
$1 a year lease, so it's not, so, with the pleasure of the board.
It's $30 for 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, we get 150 from quality stamping every 15, I think. So, I mean, that's been going on, that's a 75-year lease. It's going on back to the 50s, 60s. That's been going on since the 50s and 60s. So. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the motion to keep you and Jim both help me in the wording of this, I think. That we quitclaim deed it over to the county to release our half of ownership of it. dealing with the tech center.
And reserving utilities is the only thing we need to reserve.
And what,
Reserve.
and with the reservation that we keep our utility rights.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Okay.
Jerry, you will, add the utility wording and the quick claim and get it back for us, and we'll get it signed and get it to the county, get it to Marty. You let Marty know it's coming. Did you talk to
I
Marty?
talked to him
Okay.
last night, and he didn't really have a reaction one way or the other.
Okay. All right. It makes it easy, I think, for the county to deal with the state.
Now, question just for point of entry, what happens if the county says we don't want to do that?
Well.
I mean, I don't think it will, but I mean, it's
Legal
asking.
is that you have to have the delivery receipt, it's got to be accepted, so it's a potential thing that he could hold his hands up and say, no, I don't want it.
Yeah. And the county commission will be discussing this Monday night, so.
And I think that's what it'd be. That's why we're trying to get it done, have it till Monday night, so they can.
I did that with a party wall one time in Jackson, where the city owned property on one side of the wall, and they were demolishing the building, put a parking lot. But the party wall had joint maintenance obligations, so we quit claimed it to Walt Misson, who owned the other half. Walt showed up at the office one day going, do I have to take this?
That's what I'm kind of wondering about that.
No, Walt, but you're the only one that needs that wall.
You need that wall. Okay, next item is item I, consider approval of purchase by the utility department of 7 2-inch water meters and 2 resetters at a total cost of $12,282.
These meters will be, in some of the dorms at Free Hardeman, we have had meters that were put in back probably a lot of years ago. The meters that are there currently are not compatible with our AMI, and in a lot of cases, these meters were 2-inch turbo meter is what's there now. It's probably a misapplication of metering where they are not as accurate as what these newer electronic meters would be, and this is part of just continuing to change out long service type meters to be more compatible with our automated meter reading.
I'm assuming we've got the funds in the budget to do that. I make a motion that we can, to accept we make a motion to approve the purchase by the utility department of the 7 2-inch meters and the 2 resetters.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by aye. All opposed, signify by no. Motion carries. Next item, item J, consider to purchase the utility department a power rake wrapper bucket for the skid steer at a total cost of $20,700.
This is 2 different pieces of equipment, and when we did the budget, we put $40,000 in there for work equipment. This will be spending $20,700 of the money that we've got in there for work equipment, so this is a budgeted item, and the grapple is to clean up, be used for cleanup if we, cut trees around the lagoon, cut stuff, brush removal if we were to have a storm or something like that, we needed to move a lot of brush pretty quick and load it onto a dump truck. The power rake is what everybody refers to as a Harley rake, and if we go in and trench in a water line, sewer line, trench in like a gas line, do any major type of work around manholes and things, we'd be able to go in and go around that with this. It's kind of like a big kind of garden tiller that goes on the front of the skid steer, and we would be able to dress people's property back and dress the side of the road up so that we leave it in good order, that we would keep going back and doing stuff to it.
And
when we buy these things, do we get any training so our operators know how to use it?
We do, and we have several employees that have worked construction before that have used these types of pieces of equipment. So I've got somebody on staff that's
Good at that.
who use the Harley rake all day long, using that.
One question I had was, you know, you described when you use the land scraping or stuff. How many times do you think we'd be using it? I know the equipment on the skid steer, we take it on and off, whatever we need, but how often would we be using these two?
You know, we just recently did a project down at Johnson Circle. And, you know, we have to go back and we do a considerable amount of revisiting a job, you know, where if you had a piece of equipment like this, it would cut our labor, cleanup and labor to dress these pieces or areas back up in probably less than half and keep a lot of them returning to particular job sites and things. You know, it's, most all the contractors who do water line type work and do work in, you know, when they're working on right of way, things like that, have this type of equipment to dress it back up so that it's more pleasing to the property owner.
Cut out on some complaints, perhaps.
And this, you have 40,000 in your budget now for,
Yes, we're working with it.
So that's going to pay back with it. Yeah.
okay. So with that, I'll make a motion that we authorize the utility director to make the purchase.
Have a
of our
motion.
rigging graphic.
Have a motion to approve the purchase. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item, consider the vehicle purchase on state contract for the utility department. Can you even buy a vehicle?
We've been waiting for probably over 7 months or so or longer. Vehicles are very hard to come by. The dealers or the manufacturers are not discounting them for government use to the tune they used to be. And they've just renegotiated the statewide contract. And the state of Tennessee has just now issued a contract that would have been issued probably last August or so. And so we're about a year behind on the contract. We have not been able to order any vehicles, and so this will be where we can actually purchase, you know, the vehicles that we have in the budget, and they're in the budget. We just hadn't been able to order. We didn't get any vehicles last year, rolled on the money because of the availability.
Wasn't that due to the chip or?
It's due to the chip, and a lot of it is due to the discounts. They're not doing any discounts. And, you know, vehicles that, you know, like, we bought several Colorados, and I think the Park Spot, the Ranger, and those type vehicles are in such demand because fuel is high. They're not issuing, like the dealers or the manufacturers haven't been issuing the dealers the ability to sell them on state contract.
Yeah.
While it's in the budget, do we have enough in the budget to, is it going to blow the budget? Because they haven't discounted like we thought they might when we put them out in the budget.
But what we'll do is we'll go out and actually get a firm quote from the dealer on the state contract for those vehicles, and we'll have to look at the price at that time.
Well, you know, the UAW tonight, at midnight, if they don't have a contract, that's the big three. So that's not, I don't know. When you
Well,
get
some of the dealers, you know, when they actually got the state contract, they went ahead and like the last truck that we actually got, the 2500, it was actually one that the dealer had pre-ordered and had waited almost a year on. And then when they found out that it was in production, then they went ahead and released it for sale, and we were able to get that one, which was the last one we got. Now, we ordered a dump truck maybe a year ago and haven't heard anything about even the production of it yet. But the money is in there for that truck, and then, you know, my intent is to try to get whatever we can with the remaining amount that's in the tank.
So basically what we're doing is talking about to get bids.
Yeah.
Then you'll bring those back, then we can authorize the purchase. We're not spending any money right now.
Well, the quicker we go get bids, the.
Right,
Right.
if we're bidding, if we're buying on the state contract, the bid for the vehicles has been occurred by the state. And in years past, when we bought on the state contract, we just made sure that what money we spent was within the budgeted amount for that line item. That's what I'm asking here, basically, is to allow me to go ahead and get the quotes from the dealers and then be able to spend what is actually in the budget, not, if it's over the budget, then we'll have to come back and address it.
I'd make a motion that we go ahead and allow, the utility director to move forward with getting bids through the state contract for the Delegations.
Have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify no. Motion carries.
Just make sure we're clear. Daryl's asking for me to go ahead and order the truck.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, as long as he's in the contract.
If it's under state contract, and in his budget, he can order.
In the budget.
Okay.
You go over the budget, you got it.
So if the purchase is anything like it has been in the last year, probably be putting whatever we order maybe next year.
I mean, we may roll over again, especially if they go on strike, stay on strike a long
Brandon?
I'm sorry. I'd like to go ahead and bid Rebecca Drive. You know, we had two water line projects that we were doing, and then Rebecca Drive is a sharing cost with the co-op. And we're gonna go ahead and take that out. We've already got all the bids and specs and everything from our engineer, got TDEC approval, and we just got those approved drawings from the Tennessee Department of Fire and Conservation. I'd like to go ahead and get that, you know, out there, advertise it, and get a price on that, and then when the bids come in, we'll obviously come back to the board with the cost.
If you remember, that's the project we're still with co-op.
And it's the problem.
behind the co-op, yeah.
I make a motion to allow Darryl to go out and bid on that, Rebecca Drive.
Motion to go with bid, do I have a second? Have a second, is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All those, you get some else? Okay. Judge?
Just to recap, we did receive a grant from THSO. Also, want to let the board aware of, I believe last month, before last, y'all passed a resolution for Public Entity Partners Grant. We also were awarded that this week.
What about the fire truck?
Fire truck's done. I've got pictures of it. It's in Florida. They should be not shipped, it'd be bringing it to Tennessee sometime, so it's done. So I've got pictures of it.
Only thing I had, they did start on the paving today, and also they looking at between Monday or Tuesday next week to do the building. That's what they told me today. And also, we did order our lights, but they weren't exactly what we wanted, so we sent those back and we got some more on the way.
Did you see the Owens key?
I saw the ones with the smaller, yeah.
They showed up good at night.
Anything else, Carter?
No, that's it.
You got site, grant, going over a grant real quick, where we're on the grants.
I should have brought my list.
Something,
Yeah, we did meet with Casey Smith last Friday, I believe, me and the mayor and Darryl. And we went through basically all the different grants we had and where we were at with each one of them. We already covered safety part, not safety part, we already covered site development now. The ARP grant, we still haven't got approval to go forward with it. We're still working through the final approvals of a few things on it before we get ready to go to bid on any of those projects. Darryl is trying to work with the engineers and getting the bid specs ready to go. So hopefully we can move forward with the ARP. Of course, that's at 4.4 million total. We are definitely concerned if we're ever going to get these projects done. And we're going to get some of them done. But But can we get it all done? We don't know. It's all going to depend on whether we can get the engineers and the contractors and the goods in here to get them done. So we're trying to work as fast as we can. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, what's the next one?
Park grant.
The city park grant, we have got the contract on the city park grant. I don't think we've got the final contract signed, but we're working on it to get the park grant. Of course, as soon as we get that in, of course, we'll be working on final plans and specs, which I think Joni's pretty much got those lined out. We'll be ready to go to bid on hopefully that by the spring, is what I'm sort of guessing timeline-wise, and be able to move forward with the park grant. We still have a CDBG grant outstanding for the new fire truck, which was for the city hall location, of course. We don't have any idea about that grant. Hopefully, we'll hear about something this fall, one way or another. We will have to be making a decision either way. Even if it gets funded or it doesn't get funded, we'll have to think about what we want to apply for the next round of CDBG. We'll have to have public hearings probably December, January, and then actually have the grant application, I think February, March, to make the application for either the fire truck again, or if we don't get funded, or something else under CDBG. So that will be a discussion we'll have another meeting or two. We have a few small grants that are still in the works. Of course,
West Main.
the West Main repaving STBG funds is still working through the environmental phase. Of course, we're billing the state for the engineering involved with that. It's sort of like multimodal, but it seems to be moving much faster than multimodal. Of course, it's just a repaving project. And, you know, it's very possible that project could get moved up and be ready to bid sometime in the next paving year for the resurfacing. Of course, that money will have to, the local funds will have to come from street paving. Of course, every year we get about an extra $95,000 to add to that bucket to use for this project. So now I think we're up to about $180-something in the bucket. So hopefully that's going to cover well over half the project anyway, maybe more than that. How many more? We should roll on this. Multimodal, of course, we already talked about.
I think we got about on cover.
Yeah, all the big ones we got covered.
And then I think your grant, police grant, on the radios, where we at on
We've been awarded. The only thing that we're waiting on is, since us and the sheriff's department share a frequency, we've got to go in lockstep. Chief Griffin just come before the budget meeting last week and did a budget meeting, did a budget amendment for theirs, because it is wash in, wash out. It's got to be paid first. Y'all already approved everything for us. So once the county commission rubber stamps that, then we'll get with the sheriff's department, because we've got to go to, we'll be buying on state contract, but we've got to do everything together, because they can't go first, and we can't go first. We've got to go in lockstep. So we're prepared to move.
Jerry?
Two quick things. Since we were talking about the ARP grant, I had to note how we stood on North Avenue. That's part of the ARP, so would that North Avenue work be the first thing we try to do?
Yes.
So as quick as we can get final approval started on, that's the one that I was really concerned about getting done in time. North Avenue.
Number one on the list.
Okay. And the other thing was just a question where we stand on the replacement bridge on 100.
We got approval from TDEC. They're paying for engineering services and things like that. We've already had the actual water line replacement engineered. Those engineering plans have gone to TDEC for approval. They've been approved. TDEC has reimbursed us for our engineering fees that we paid to have that line engineered. We asked that line be put in, since it's in that swamp and it's difficult to get to and all that, I asked that it be put into the actual TDEC contract, so whoever the general contractor is that's building the bridge, he'll be responsible for subbing out the water line and doing that work and all of that to be paid out of federal funds by TDEC. So we've met all of our deadlines and everything like that to be able to be reimbursed for all the costs of that project. So as of right now, it's really a TDEC project that our engineers and we will work to make sure it's put in acceptable to the way that it's designed.
Is there any time frame for them to start making work?
When are they supposed to bid that project, you know?
They were supposed to bid the project this December. was the timeline. And they've done some survey work and stuff like that. They have, you know, most of that's occurring off the road, so you can't really see what they're doing, you know, down in the swamp. But they've been in there this summer. You know, it's been a little bit wetter than normal summer, so the limitations in getting to the spots they need to. But they built a couple of little rock islands and things like that for survey purposes, and they are moving forward, you know, with the design and things like that. And the goal was to be bid in December.
That's all I had, all the questions I had.
Brent, building, the list of demolition, you start working on that list?
We do have a list. We're trying to get it compiled as far as what we're going to send out. We'll send out 10 to all the properties that we think need to have some help. It'll be a repair, demolish. Some of them are not worth repairing. We're hoping that we'll get some of the owners to demo their own. And then the worst that won't get done, we'll be bringing it back to you as a bid packet to do 4 or 5 or however many we can afford.
What all streets are going through or something?
All over
Every
the,
street?
all over the city of Henderson.
As everybody knows, barbecue festival next week. We'll be blocking the street to Chief Wynn.
Friday before, Thursday before o'clock.
Thursday before we'll be blocking the streets. So, all right, if anybody else has anything they want to add, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, but